We're back with part 2 of our conversation with Todd Sarner as we talk about setting loving boundaries without guilt, repairing relationships after conflict, and finding deeper fulfillment in our modern screen-filled world. This episode will leave you feeling grounded, hopeful, and inspired to bring more connection into your home. Stay tuned. Welcome to Fulfillment Therapy. I'm Kendra Nielsen, wife, mom, and licensed therapist. Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right, but you're still exhausted and empty? Did you think life, marriage, and parenting would be simpler and more rewarding? Sometimes you just want to crawl back into bed and lose yourself in screen time and chocolate, rather than face that personal or family stress. You are not alone. This podcast helps you break free of the rat race and build a richer, more meaningful life, flourishing incrementally and realistically, improving your mental health and wellness, and living with deeper purpose beyond the mundane, no matter where you are in life's journey. Do you have any pointers on how they can do that, maybe in reasonable ways, just to start changing that narrative, get to that space of having more compassion and empathy, especially maybe if their spouse, their partner isn't always on board? Do you have any guidance for them?
Yeah. I guess I would sum it up with, and I don't mean for this to sound like a catchphrase, I don't remember saying this before, but educate and regulate. And those things work together. Whether you have professional guidance, whether it's a coach, it's a therapist, it's a mother's group, with like a men's group, father's group, whatever kind of guidance you get, it's just really super helpful to have another person. There's something about it that is deepened if you're talking to a good guide. Again, whether that's a free or a paid guide or a group or whatever. But educate yourself on different narratives. Educate yourself on what's really going on. If something I say appeals to you, go research it some more. Watch some more videos or podcasts on the topics of Sue Johnson, Stan Tatkin, Gordon Neufeld. Go through Kendra's list of podcasts, which I did when I first heard about your show. I went, oh gosh, there was one that was like regulate, don't react. Alyssa's something. I can't remember her name right now. But I went through and I went, oh, that's a topic I really care about. And I have 25 years, 30 years experience, depending on when you start the clock, on this stuff, right? So educate yourself on new narratives and points of view. But the thing I find myself focusing on a lot more these days, and part of what inspired me, sorry, quick plug, Kendra, to write the book, Calm and Connected Parent, is for 20 years people told me to write a book. And I don't have a new thing to say, I don't think. I know my coaching, I know how to do that, but I don't know if I have a new thing I want to say that's different than Sue Johnson and Stan Tatkin and Dan Siegel, and Dr. Becky these days has great stuff out there. But the thing I found I wanted to say involved the influence now of tech and screens and social media and smartphones and AI. The book's not all about that, but I wanted to talk about that moment in time where we are and how that affects things, child development and behavior-wise, but also Venn diagram with regulation. Almost all the parents I work with, and I know you care about this topic because I know you talk about it, almost all the parents I work with are not uneducated, okay? Some are stay at home right now, but they have a professional background. Some are dual careers. They're smart people who are reading the books and are listening to the podcast. And then in the moment where their kid won't put on their shoes in the morning, when they're trying to get out the door, they lose their mind. To whatever degree, and brain science, we know what this is. You're going into your amygdala, you're going into your brainstem. You don't have access to the smart parts of your brain. That's what we mean by losing your mind. I know I'm doing this visually, but people are listening, but Dan Siegel does this hand model of the brain where he makes a fist and he says the top parts of the fist are your smart parts of your brain, the cerebral cortex. The more primitive parts of the amygdala in the middle, the two little almond-shaped things in the middle, and the brainstem, the limbic system. When you are stressed out, when you're dysregulated, you don't have access to that really nice podcast you listened to yesterday with Todd and Kendra. You don't have access to that Instagram video. You literally don't have blood flow to that part of your brain. That's the loop a lot of parents are in. They're stressed out, they're overwhelmed, they're pushing things, they think they have to do more, and they're not taking time to regulate themselves. So getting to your actual question, I think, you can remind me, is you have to invest proactively. Parenting is not supposed to be reactive. Parenting is not supposed to be what you do when your kid does something to make them stop doing it. That's what a lot of the books and videos are about. Parenting is supposed to be 95% proactive. Getting into connection first, building a culture of connection around your children and your family, regulating yourself, teaching consequences day to day that are not punishing, they're just teaching cause and effective actions, noticing when your kid is getting frustrated, setting a limit in a firm but kind way. This is what parenting is supposed to be. It's a culture you build. It is not a set of tips and scripts that you read. Scripts can be nice sometimes. You go, oh, that helps remind me of words to use when I'm stressed. I get that. But if you're dysregulated, you can't access the script. So more specifically, if the answer's not going into 2 hours now, 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes twice a day, breathe, find an app you like, Calm app or some kind of meditation app. I love 4-7-8 breathing, which is a popular thing, and it's so easy to do. You breathe in through your nose to the count of 4, into your belly, blow it up like a balloon, hold your breath to the count of 7, let it out through your mouth to the count of 8. That's really simple. I can't write a book about it because the book would be 1 page long. But within 5 or 10 minutes of doing 4-7-8 breathing, you raise parasympathetic tone in your system, you lower sympathetic dysregulation, and you can bank that. That's the most powerful thing parents need to understand. If you're already losing your mind, it's too late. You just have to do your best not to do more damage and to get out of it and come back and repair. But you can build up parasympathetic tone in your system by walking, by doing exercise, by doing breathing, by doing meditation. And if you invest in that, 10 minutes twice a day, 20 minutes, throughout my child's childhood, I did 20 minutes of meditation in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. I would usually do a walk when I could. I know parents are going, we're busy. I know you're busy. I don't work with anyone who's not busy. But you have 10 minutes. You do. Stop scrolling. Stop doing that extra thing that you don't need to do on the internet or social media. Take 10 minutes, invest in it twice a day, whatever method works for you. But you have to build up that bank of calm because then you have something to draw from. It's practical, it's simple, it's boring, but it's necessary.
I just want to reiterate some of those things that you said that I love. That last one especially, build up that calm bank. And I know that listeners are probably tired of hearing me say this, but along with what you were saying, if it's important to you, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. And it's not like this shame thing, but to remind us that these things matter, like how we are showing up to our partner, how we're showing up to our kids. And if you don't have that build up of that bank, that's an issue. I'm going to give a personal example. My husband's gone for 3 weeks for the first time ever. And I am at home with 4 kids and doing a house remodel that I decided to just throw in there. I don't even know what I'm doing. It's quite overwhelming as a surprise to my husband. And I imagined this going very well. I was going to connect with my kids. I have a lot of one-on-one with them. It was going to be a bunch of just great quality time. Instead, I have not built up my calm bank, and I have been very much working 16-hour days, just like completely exhausted, can barely bend over. I'm like so stiff at this point with all this hard labor. And I'm almost never looking my kids in the eyes or really checking in or being a very present parent. Now, I could let that totally derail me. And I'm saying this for the sake of parents that have felt something similar. Or I can get, according to some of the things that you've said today, curious. I can build up my calm bank. I can have compassion and empathy, not even for my kids. I hope I have that too, but for myself and be like, okay, what can I do here? Like you mentioned, getting a guide or a mentor or educating and regulating, like taking those few minutes to go on that walk or take a little nap or just checking in with my kids or repairing. There's different things that I know that I can do, but I'm actually glad that you put in that plug. You talked about your book, and I want to go there actually, especially when it comes to tech and screens and AI. Like you said, that's something that I love. But maybe using my example or otherwise, do you have any suggestions you would give a parent that feels like that? Okay, I do try to do these things. I try to build up my calm bank, but I still feel overwhelmed. I feel exhausted. I feel like I'm snapping.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd say to that?
The first thing I would say is don't remodel your home.
It's good advice.
I'm joking, of course, but I honestly used to say to my couples, I started my practice in Mill Valley, California, which is Marin County, which is a very affluent area right above San Francisco across the Golden Gate. I live a little north of there now. And a lot of my clients are there. And there's a lot of home remodeling and things. And I used to joke with them. My practice is usually full. But if it wasn't full, I would hand out my card to contractors in the area and have them give them to all the couples because I know they need my help because remodeling the house is stressful. And also, don't let your husband go away for 3 weeks while we're doing it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. A couple things that came up for me when you were speaking, again, it goes back to the last thing we were saying too, is you are spending more time and effort and it's more stress when you're not regulating yourself than if you do. You just are. When you're dysregulated and not doing things a way that works and that makes you feel guilty, that is using a lot more emotional, physical, mental, psychic space than if you just took a little time to invest up front. I would say understand that a little goes a long way and just find a couple things to do, habits to do to regulate yourself and to more often connect first with your kids. Find a couple habits, commit to them for 60 to 90 days. Try your best. When you make a mistake, don't be harsh with yourself. Just try again and keep going and repair if you need to. But a little goes a long way. 10 minutes of just calm and closing your eyes and breathing goes a long way. And then what you're going to notice is if you do a little bit to regulate yourself, and then you take a little bit extra time to get your kids' eyes, to get their smile, to get that sense of connection before you proceed with anything else, you're going to notice that little investment. I was just saying this to a dad yesterday. He was having the same thing over and over again, that he would come home. He also has 4 kids. And he would come home, and the first thing that would happen was just a show. Okay. Because his wife would usually be in the thick of it. And will you just take care of these kids? I am trying to do this. Why are you late? And they would just get into it. I told him, take a deep breath, take 2 minutes to collect yourself, do something tactile. Like I say in the book over and over again, this thing I have parents do is touch the door frame before you go into the house or into the room. It's not that complicated. There's no advanced theory behind that other than a tactile kind of trigger to yourself that, oh, touch the door, take a deep breath, feel your feet on the ground, and then go in there with the attitude that you're going to connect with your kids and you're going to help regulate the situation. That intention helps out enormously. But usually people are just already not breathing and they're already up here in their energy and their chest and they're shoulders and their head, and just taking a moment to breathe, feel your feet on the ground, and have an intention when you go in, you're going to notice, oh, wait, that worked better. Is that just a coincidence? And then 1 out of 3 or 4 times, it won't go well anyway, because it's already in a bad place. And that could be evidence that you go, oh, it doesn't work. No, it does work. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Breathe, regulate yourself, connect first. Look at your wife or your husband when you walk in with the intention of, hey, we're a team. What's going on? How can we do this together? Not putting it on them to tell you, the whole mental load thing. We can have a whole nother conversation about that. But come in as a team. Hey, I love you. Connect with your partner first. Sue does a great job of explaining that. David Snarch, Stan Tatkin. When you come in the door, connect with your partner first. Have a belly to belly, a deep breath connection with your partner. Regulate each other first and then proceed, which is another thing maybe we'll talk about another time, Kendra, that I know you care about. But regulation in the couple and being more on the same page, which we have touched on, is critical. But coming in the door, collecting each other first, and then proceeding, regulate yourself first, even just for a moment, not perfection, just a little bit more in the right direction.
I love that. And I'm glad that you even said the part. There's more that I'm going to want to talk about, but for sake of time, I think we're going to have you back on if you're okay with that.
I would love to, yeah.
But I did want to tie that back into something you said at the very beginning. Connecting more. It's almost like those arrivals and departures. And it sounds so simple, but I speak for myself here. I'm the one that's always, oh, this, especially when I work from home. I'm the CEO of the house in a lot of ways. And so my mind is always seeing all the 30 things. And it's hard to just get my eyes for a second, unless you're in session with me or in a space. And again, going to that curiosity part, taking that shame away from it. You talked earlier about how a lot of times it's historical. You go back to that needs exploration. You go back to the origins of some of those things. Like, how are things modeled when you were growing up? I just think about how I have this history of women in my family that are just such hard workers and always moving and always going. And it's very hard to slow down and connect. So there might be reasons that is amiss. So exploring what those are and sharing that, being open and honest and vulnerable about like how it can be a challenge. Like I've learned this last year to repair a lot more with my kids and be like, oh, I'm so sorry that mom's distracted with all these tasks. I definitely took on a little more than I should have. And I didn't know what I didn't know about these things. How would you like to connect, or how can we pause for a minute?
It's so valuable to do that. In the Sue Johnson training, I think Scott Woolley trained us, and then Stan Tatkin did in the adult attachment interview, or doing a version of the adult attachment interview with couples. Not the 3-hour version, the clinical version that Mary Main and Eric Hesse did at Berkeley, which I trained with them in that. But hey, when you were little, what was it like in the mornings? What was it like at bedtime? Did your parents connect with you? It can be so valuable to talk about those things. Like you're saying, curiosity. Oh gosh, I lost my thread of what I was going to say before that. It'll come back to me in a second. But it's very valuable to do that. And it's very valuable to understand. Yeah, I got it. Everywhere in the world, you don't assume connection. You don't in business meetings. We were just in France a year ago for 2 weeks. I hadn't been there since I was like 20 years old. And the French famously will be rude to you if you don't get their eyes. And then the American comes away with, oh, the French are rude. The French think you're rude because you don't just come into a bread shop and say, hey, can I have a croissant or a baguette? That's rude to them. That is culturally inappropriate. You're supposed to get eyes. We're supposed to connect as people first. Then we do business, right? Everywhere in the world, that's the case. I was in Japan for 6 or 7 months a few years ago living. And you hashimemashite. You have to do a thing where you connect with each other first, or have 3 cups of tea together in Tibet or whatever. But with our kids, we walk in and we're like, I need you to go do this. I need you to do that. And everything in their body says no. And it's true for your partner too.
It's so hard to remember and so
It's
simple.
so hard to remember, but it's so simple. I do a 12-week kind of process with people around parenting. And the first week, that's it. At the end of it, they're like, how do I solve this and this and this? And how do I do this? And I go, no, we're not doing that today. What we're doing today is we're understanding, don't take relationship for granted. Neufeld had a thing. I developed my own stories around it. Imagine your kid has a green light in their forehead, like your computer power cord does. And you have to get that green light on before you proceed. Get the smile, get the eyes, but do it with your partner too. You're buzzing at a certain energy level from your day of seeing clients and the kids and everything. And then he's buzzing at a different level from his work and his stress and everything. And you come together and you wonder why things don't work. Not you personally. I'm sure you and your husband get along perfectly all the time. And then when people come back together and it's, oh, wow, we're not getting along. Duh. You didn't actually take the time. And David Snarch was the first, I remember articulating this in his book, Passionate Marriage. Belly to belly, chest to chest, breathing. I'm here to help you relax and connect with you. You're here to help me relax and connect with me. It calms the ventral vagal nervous system. It helps you feel connected. You're at more the same wavelength, and then you proceed. But with your children, do not ever walk in the room, just assume because you're a good parent and we had a good morning or whatever, that this kid is naturally going to follow you, especially if they're younger and they don't have a functioning frontal lobe yet. Get the eyes, get the smile, get the nod, get that sense of, okay, here we are. If you haven't been together in a while, it could take you 5 minutes. But if you're doing this as the culture of your home and it's just assumed, it's just what we do, it usually won't. It's just a thing that we do. And again, dedicate yourself to it for 30, 60, 90 days that you're going to try your best, and then it will become a habit. And then it won't be something you even have to think about. It is absolutely worth the investment in time. And like I said before, if you don't do it, please expect opposition, defiance, and children that don't want to follow you because they have, and husband or wife that doesn't want to follow you, because we all have an attachment instinct that we are not supposed to listen to or follow anyone who we're not connected to in the moment. That is a protective instinct that protects your children from harm. Okay? That I'm not supposed to listen to somebody I'm not connected to. But parents make the mistake all the time. I'm their parent. I'm a good parent. Look how hard I'm working with my 12-hour day and my home remodel and stuff. Again, not about you, Kendra, just a coincidence.
Of course not.
But so therefore my kids should just be willing. No, they have an instinct that if I don't take the time, just like that French person is going to be rude to you, your kid is not going to listen to you because you didn't take the time to get that nervous system connection, that cultural connection of, hey, we're here together.
Very well said. And I love that visual of getting that green light on their forehead to go off before proceeding, like getting that connection, that eye contact. Such a simple thing again, but so transformative. And I know I could probably have a whole room full of parents and every one of them would be like, or partners, spouses, and be like, yeah, I'm not doing that all that often. So something we can all do for sure.
I stopped asking as much. I used to be so nerdy, and I know we have to wrap up, but I used to be so nerdy for years and years about asking every detail about what happened that led to the meltdown, that led to the power struggle, whatever. I used to do that all the time because I really wanted to be able to present a scientific case for exactly, and that's not exactly my nature, but I would do that for the first few years. And then after a while, I'm like, duh. Almost every story started with, hey, did you actually connect with the child first? No, but I shouldn't have to. They should just, No, you do have to. Like, how do you feel when your husband walks in the room and just starts telling you what to do? Oh, no, that does not go well. Why wouldn't it be that way for your kid? It's just a cultural thing that unfortunately we don't do as much.
Yeah.
One of the great things about America is that we left a lot of culturally oppressive environments. My family left Russia and Germany and all these places at the beginning of the 20th century where there was some oppressive things. It's one of the great things about America and North America that we left a lot of the oppressive stuff behind, but we also threw the baby out with the bathwater. We went, no, we do it our way and we don't have to do polite or this sometimes. And no, we have to honor, not because we feel oppressed and I have to do it exactly the way somebody told me to, but yeah, we have to honor human instincts that people feel threatened if we don't take the time to connect with them.
Absolutely. I love that we were able today to talk about what we can do if we're exhausted, if we're snapping, if we are trying to get more calm, how we can reconnect and strengthen those bonds, how we can educate ourselves more and regulate all these different ways that we can get started. And I'm excited to have you back on the show to talk more about your book, especially with the tech, screens, AI, and how that relates to parenting too, because I never get tired of that topic either, because it's something new that our ancestors never faced the way that we have, and it's just territory we need more guidance on.
I would love to talk about it. It's a passion of mine to talk about.
Good. We'd love to have you on the show soon then to do that. But thank you for coming on, and I will put your links in the show notes so they can find you. But is there any place that you would like to share that they can find you if they want to learn more?
No, transformativeparenting.com. I'm proud of the YouTube channel. I found myself just going, okay, I want to record a lot of videos on the topics that people ask me about the most. So it's a free resource. It's not monetized. Go there too. But transformativeparenting.com usually has all the links about working with us, about the socials, about all that good stuff. And I let other people take care of that, how that all works. But we try to put some great resources on there.
Perfect. Okay. I will put that in the show notes for sure, and they can check that out. And also, we're excited to have you back for that part 2 to hear more about your story, your book, all the things that will help us take parenting to that next level, especially.
Anytime. I look forward to it. Thanks for all the work you do and for having me on. I really love your voice and what you put out there for people. And I see the feedback. And I just think we need more and more people talking about regulation and attachment and the power that parents have to greatly influence the direction of their children. And so thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you. I love this conversation with Todd Sarner, and I hope you did too. If you'd like to explore Fulfillment Therapy's programs, visit fulfillmenttherapy.org to check out Find Your Focus or launch your podcast, the perfect way to grow your impact and fulfillment. You can also email us at hello@fulfillmenttherapy.org if you'd love a free coaching call that could become a future episode. And don't forget to share this episode with a friend who could use more calm and connection in their home. We always appreciate it. We'll see you back here every Monday with a new episode. Until then. Hey friends, if you enjoyed this episode, a quick 30-second share can help someone else find support and help this podcast grow. Leaving a review on Apple Podcasts boosts visibility and keeps the show alive. Your simple acts make a big difference. I'll see you back here each week for more life-changing episodes.